Hi, I'm Patricia Greenberg, and welcome to It's Okay to Be Old, a show about all things aging well. Well, getting older, what to do about it is really the hot topic in health today. Anti-aging is a movement to erase the signs of aging, and 60 is the new 40 is the catchphrase being thrown around by everyone. Well, I'm 64 and I fully accept that I'm aging, and I feel more open to what the world has to offer and what comes my way. I'm thrilled to have with us today Dr. Dana Cohen. She practices as an internist and integrative medicine physician, and we are going to delve into what really works as we age. Welcome, Dr. Cohen.
Thank you for having me.
So tell us a little bit about your experience in your current work, not necessarily how it relates to aging, but just a little bit about what you do.
So I'm an internist, but I've been practicing solely integrative now, like people call it functional medicine, since I started in 1998. And it's all I can say is it's just good medicine. It's old-fashioned medicine, going back to getting to know your patient, listening to your patient, talking to your patient. I do like to test. I like to do a lot of functional testing, gut testing, like some different kinds of testing. But I love data. And I think it's just looking for root cause medicine, trying to keep people off of medication by using supplements, diet, lifestyle. But I will prescribe medications. I have a big practice of GLP-1s, for example, because I think that, in the right situation, they're good. I will use statins when they're appropriate. I will use antibiotics when they're appropriate. I just don't use them right off the bat. And you're just talking to people. It's just about having a conversation with your patient. Good old-fashioned medicine.
And are you getting pushback from colleagues about this? Has this been something that are you the outlier, the woo-woo person who
Oh, it's funny because I thought you were talking my integrative medicine colleagues.
yeah.
I get pushback more from them. I am probably more conservative than most of the people in my field. Um, and I no longer get pushback from my regular, medical school colleagues. I used to though. I remember when I first started in 1998, when I first started this, as a good internist, I would call my patient's doctor to speak to them about them, and that's what a good internist should do. And when they started to hear about what I'm doing, and they would be like, "Who are you? What are you doing?" Almost like nasty.
Yeah.
And now it's like, "Oh, who are you? What are you doing? Where did you get trained for that? Tell me more. Come visit me. I want to talk to you." It's completely different. It is a very different landscape, and patients are seeking it out. Doctors are seeking it out. So, yeah.
And I'm looking forward to that day where it's mainstream and you don't feel like, oh, only rich people go to functional medicine doctors, or only, it's for privilege, or it's the last house on the block when I've
Yeah.
exhausted all my avenues. I really, for your sake and everybody's, that it's becoming mainstream.
Yeah.
First off, I want to ask you, I know there's definitive markers because this is all I do all day and talk about it, but really, what age are we really considered old or elderly or just no longer young?
Yeah. So you did give me a little bit of a heads up on some of these
Yes.
questions.
Yes.
And I looked at that question and I honestly can't answer it because everybody is different. I can't answer it. I can have a really old 35-year-old that walks in that is just sick and doesn't take care of themselves. And I could have a very vibrant 75-year-old who I will throw the book at and give them every test and work with them in every way, or even 80-year-old, or even, it's so individualized that you can't answer that question in this day and age. You just
Oh,
can't.
yeah. So we're no longer putting the chronological age on a person.
No, I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
certainly not. I think probably insurance companies still are, you know, but no, I don't. And you can't because, like I said, everybody is different. People are, many people are living older and healthier. Like the statistics show that that's not necessarily true. Like while we're living longer, we're not necessarily living better as a group, as a whole. But I'm fortunate. I get those that have been so proactive in their health and so, looking at their health and taking care of themselves that I cannot put a number on them, and they're healthier than, I have a 75-year-old who's healthier than most 40-year-olds that I have.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're going to keep coming back to this in the course of the conversation, but uh, and there is real no nutshell answer for this. Is what we do and the ill effects of bad behaviors reversible at any age?
Yes. Yes.
That's
Yes.
encouraging. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a lot of research that, and honestly, I even know it from myself too. I remember, I'm trying to think how old I was. This would have been, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 years ago when I really started an exercise regimen, that I'd never really done before, like really Pilates and Soul Cycle. And I knew that I was improving faster than the people that had done it for a long time. When you there's this grace that when you start something that you have not done anything, there's a little bit of a um, an accelerated process of improvement, you know. So yes, I think at any age, and the other thing is there's research that shows exercising from a non-sedentary lifelong of being non-sedentary, exercising after 60 or something can really, really quickly reverse a lot of the bad things of aging.
I always say my guests or my partners, we're always partnering as a team to help people feel better. I had a hip replacement a year ago, March, after a long, long, long career of marathon running. And I stopped and I was afraid. Me, who does this all day long here, it's okay to be old, became afraid to do certain activities. I was really, don't, whatever you do, don't fall. Whatever you do, don't hurt yourself. Now,
Yeah.
the orthopedic surgeons who are younger than me are telling me this. And I went for a run yesterday and I felt fantastic. And when I was done, I'm accustomed to doing 5Ks, which is 3 miles, all the way up to 10Ks, which is 6 miles. And I did a run walk for about 45 minutes. I never felt better. And it came back to me. I was able to do it. So I want to say that I'm a walking testimony to that you can do that at any age. But I ask you
Yeah.
as a medical professional, are we going to hurt ourselves? That's why I asked that question. If
I don't know. Can you hear the ambulance outside?
no, 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 no.
Okay. Sorry.
That's okay.
Um, uh, can we hurt ourselves? I mean, we have to be careful. Like, I don't know if somebody who never ran before has a hip replacement and then, starts to run, you have to be a little careful. Yes. And I suggest getting help of a professional, a trainer, somebody who can guide you. So yeah, you are more at risk. That's the other thing though. Literally as we age, you are a little more at risk of becoming, I think my husband says this all the time. My husband was a skier when he was younger. He grew up in Canada. And he was a major skier. He hasn't skied in 25 years. And he's like, I am the perfect person primed to hurt myself because I feel like if I got back on skis, I will, remember everything, but don't have the muscle memory to really, so you can't do that. You have to be careful and do it properly. But you know what? Walking, cycling, all those things that are easy on your joints and taking your time are, you can get real improvement pretty quickly just by doing those things, especially if you don't do them. So, and if you do them, then great, continue moving forward and improving it and strength training and doing all that stuff safely. But once again, that goes back to what I said earlier, those people that have never done it and just starting, you're going to get massive improvements relatively quickly.
Good to know. It's a fantastic, fantastic thing to reassure everybody to get out there and do something.
Yeah.
Dr. Cohen, one of the reasons I sought you out is because I'm astounded by the number of people I hear that tell me they were completely dismissed by their doctor due to age. You're tired, you're constipated, you're anxious, you're achy, you're feeling pain, all because of your age.
Yeah. Time to find a new doctor,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so unacceptable. And I think it's a product of the system. They're allotted, what, 8 minutes to see somebody,
Yeah.
so it's like, of course, they're going to go to the easiest thing to get them out of their office, and until there's something really dangerous that, um, it's not true. I don't know if it might be true in some people, it very well may be true. But until all avenues are exhausted, no pun intended, I think that they have to treat it like anything else, especially if it's something new for that person. Or at the very least, I think instead of using the word aging, how about deconditioned? Because you're so sedentary, or you're so, your lifestyle has been so one way, that let's start somewhere. And I also think that that's where healthcare has got to change, with the uh, addition of health coaches and nutritionists and those kind of things, of get more affordable people that can spend the time, more affordable for people to spend, and have that time, and to be able to sort of coach people around lifestyle changes. I think that that's really how it's going to have to change.
Earlier when we first put this together, I wanted to ask you about, what do you do when someone 65 plus walks in? But I'm going to rephrase that based on what you told me earlier. So when someone comes in, and I'm not saying an older person automatically has a whole host of ailments, but they tend to more than a younger person for a variety of reasons. What is your first approach with that? What's the first thing you look for if someone comes in? I'll use that line of demarcation over 65, but what are you suspecting when someone comes in? Is does age is the first thing that comes to your mind?
No, it's never, never. It's the same thing for every person that walks in my
Okay.
door. I'm listening to you. Like, I pride myself on my history and physical. I mean, I think that's really my gift in this world, is to really listen, to really tease it out of somebody. I will, hopefully this will be helpful for somebody too. I talk about this, I've been talking about this a lot more lately too. When you go see your doctor, or your health person, whoever it is, um, don't walk in and say, I've done all this research and I think that I have candida, or diagnose yourself. The reason being is that once you do that, it's so easy for me to say, okay, great. Let's go on that. I'm happy to just not take the time and not look for other things, because the truth is, if you've been sick for a long time, it's never one thing. It is a conglomerate of all these things, lifestyle choices, everything. And let me put that together for you. At the end, I want to hear all your theories. I want to hear what you think you have. I want to hear, what you read. Tell me more. I learn a lot from my patients many times. But complain. Tell me your complaints first. And I start the same, once again, I start the same with anybody. I don't care if you're 16. I rarely see 16-year-olds, 18 to, 85, whatever it is. And I'll start with complaint to me, and I list them out one by one by one. And then in my taking my hour and 15-minute long history from you, I'll see, I see patterns and I see things, and I'll want to do testing, and I'll try to put it all together. And it doesn't take a genius to do this. But I will say, most of the time it's gut health. Gut health
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
cause of everything. So you want to look at the gut, which can influence hormones, which can influence nutrients. You want to look at nutrients. So it's always the same for everybody. It doesn't matter what age they are. I never think about, oh, well, if this is your age, it is what it is. I always think about looking, at how we can improve nutrient markers, for example, fatty acids, measuring omega-3s, are they really low? Like, so looking at those things and trying to improve wherever we can improve. I talk about a nutrition history. I talk about a hydration history. Hydration is super, super important. So the age at them stepping into my office never ever takes I just don't think about it because it's the same for everybody. I want to hear about what's bothering you and what I can do to make that better. My job is to get you feeling fantastic.
As a little aside on that, I want to talk about a few different things that you look for because we talk about the things that what we're going to talk a little more in detail about what you look for when someone comes, particularly about gut health. Dana, what about the emotional component? How much do you see grief, sadness, anxiety? The list goes on.
Yeah. All right. So I live in New York
About
City.
someone's health. Yeah.
I work in New York City. I see it a lot.
Yeah.
I see it a lot. And it saddens me, and it's really hard. It's not my area of expertise to be able I mean, I can talk to somebody as if, in front of me and say like, hey, you know, I think it only gets better, but it's hard. That's a really hard thing when somebody has such that mindset and that sadness of getting older and whatever has been put into them. Um, it's a hard one on my part. I have to be honest. It's a really tough one for me, except, I try to guide, I try to, show by example. I try, it's tough. It's tough. And I think it's just a life. The good news is I think that now there are so many role models. I think about um, I'm trying to think of all these women that are stepping up and saying like menopause is empowerment. Halle Berry. There's a bunch of them. Naomi Watts is another one new on the thing. She's doing a bunch of stuff with menopause. And then the Jane Fondas and Lily Tomlins and all of these role models that we can look up to who are embracing aging. Brooke Shields, you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
yeah. So I think guiding people, talking about it, I think it's important. Like, exactly what you're doing can give women, and honestly, I say this all the time. I really, truly feel that postmenopausal women are the greatest untapped natural resource in this nation. The kids have grown. We have all these great, vibrant women who are looking to do incredible things, and we're going to tap into them. And I think that's our greatest natural resource that we have not yet to tap,
And I
really
think
tap
we
into.
should all be out in the workforce. I should think we should all be out applying for these jobs and getting the interviews. And there's so much life to live. I say it for my age group. When I hear people are retiring, retire is just a word. You're just putting an aspect of your life away and starting anew on something else. It's got
Yeah,
such a terrible, we need a new word. We need a new word for that. Can't use retire anymore because you can
yeah,
retire from the Olympics at 20 years old and you have your
right.
life ahead of you. So it's just
Yeah, yeah,
Dr. Cohen, we always hear about diseases that are prevalent among the aging. So slight cognitive decline all the way up to Alzheimer's, and there's a huge focus on brain health right now. And I wanted you to talk a little bit because off air, full disclosure, we've talked about this a little bit. Um, Lifestyle choices, things that we do that lead to cognitive decline that I know there's ways to bounce back, unless, of course, God forbid, you do have the organic
right.
diseases of Alzheimer's and so forth.
Yeah,
Talk to us about that big picture of brain fog and again, the reason I brought up anxiety, depression, and grief because that often can cause us to really act loopy when there's no organic reason for it. You're just, I know it's multifaceted, but if you can just,
yeah,
the lifestyle choices that lead to more
yeah.
decline as to preventing some of that decline.
Yeah. So it goes back to what I just said, good medicine, right? And going back to basics, things that we forget. We're in this world, at least I'm in this world of, peptides and IV NAD and all these biohacking crazy things. That's not what we're talking about. We're going to talk about going back to basics that we all need to hear over and over and over again. So, number one, physical inactivity, sedentary lifestyle. That is the single most important thing that you can do to improve everything, improve cognitive function, improve muscle, movement and muscle strength. So being physically inactive accelerates frailty. Frailty is actually a medical term, you
Mm,
know,
okay.
and you want to walk, you want to strength train. You could walk, you could do both by walking with a weighted vest or a backpack with a bottle of water in there, whatever it may be. So um, we need to move. And we need to push ourselves to move. Super important. Um, Poor sleep quality is another. Um, that's a hard one, but there are absolutely things that we can do. Everybody says, "Oh, I've practiced good sleep hygiene. I really have." Honestly, when I really question people, nobody does.
Right.
Nobody truly practices it, except for a handful of people,
Right.
right? So look up what those are, but they are, getting rid of blue light, your computers, your phones, a few hours before bed. Um, um, what are some other things?
Eating. Tell me about eating how far out from going to bed?
It's different for everybody also. I think a good, I worry more, I'm not worry more, I care more about like a time restricted eating. So stopping eating at a certain time and then starting again a minimum of 12 or 13 hours. So if you stop eating at 9 p.m. and you have your first meal at 9 or 10 a.m. That's a good habit that everybody should get into, and it's not that hard. So, but you don't want to eat a heavy meal, right before bed. And you do want to, if you want to stop eating, an hour, 2 hours before, and you don't want to eat and then go straight to the bed. There's actually good research that you want to eat and maybe go take even, I think it was something like even a 2-minute walk
Hmm.
after you eat can really help with metabolism and that. Um, what else? Oh, stop, like also stopping stimulants before bed, right? So, or, stimulants meaning coffee and those kind of things. You might need to stop coffee much earlier in the day. Coffee's a drug. I'm a fan. I drink coffee and there's no problems with coffee, except it can keep you up. Even things like, matcha or the caffeine drinks, those kind of things. But also, a stimulant for me is computer, is like even little games that you play on your computer. Sometimes that keeps you up, so you get excited about playing games. And I know this because I have a family member, she is an elderly family member who, and I say elderly because she's frail, like, and she's playing games, she's addicted to those games, and I think they're messing with her sleep. So those kind of addictions can keep you awake. So really practicing good sleep hygiene. I just wrote a whole book on ultra processed foods, getting rid of ultra processed foods. Just going back to the original question, are the things that we can change lifestyle to um, decline aging, I guess, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So limiting ultra processed foods in your diet, eating more real food. And my latest book is called Fuel Up,
Okay.
um, which is really addresses that with a sort of very practical, no nonsense approach on how to do that simply, easily, cost effectively. Um,
And we'll do a show on that. Just what hold me to that. We're gonna have you come
okay.
do an entire show on that because I know it's important. Yes.
Great. Alcohol and smoking, we know those things. Alcohol now, the new recommendations are we should all be striving for zero alcohol.
To me about
Um,
that. This is a
yeah,
big issue because we're always told that a glass of wine is good for us. And we hear about the Mediterranean diet and the Europeans, and European children drink wine, as you know, with their meals.
Yeah. Yeah. It's changed. I mean, science is messy. It changes. When we know better, we do better. We used to think smoking was healthy for us. But, I think we got to pick our poisons in this world, right? So I do always talk to my patients about alcohol. I think at this day and age, it might, uh, how do I say this? I want you to strive for zero alcohol, but if it's gonna, if 2 drinks a week or more and we're doing everything else right, that may be okay. But I have to be hard pressed to find anybody who says to me it doesn't mess with their sleep. Everybody knows it does.
Right.
So you have to make a decision on what's going to be right for you and acceptable and feel right with alcohol specifically.
I'm going to nip
Uh,
with you on that for a sec, if you don't mind, because
sure.
next we're going to go into the microbiome and how it affects our body.
Okay.
Um, so if I have, I'll talk about myself. We'll talk about, I have a glass of wine every Friday night. We celebrate the Sabbath. And so am I destroying my body, even that one glass of wine? What is moderation with wine? I can answer that question myself, but I really want to hear from you.
Once again, it's different for everybody. I can't imagine, if I don't know you as a patient. So if I thought it was a problem and I think one glass of wine once a week is not going to be a problem for anybody. But I would also, it depends on what I'm looking at. Are we looking to do a detox or a cleanse? Are there liver issues? Then I would say, let's do, 3 months of no alcohol. Just
Okay.
try it and see. And then, the truth is we live in a toxic world. Oh gosh, we just found out, and this is a whole thing, and I'm not sure, like, please don't get crazy about this, but glass bottles are even found microplastics in
Oh,
our glass bottles now. I know.
okay.
Um,
Okay. Mm.
so, I think that there are worse things. Our bodies are amazing machines. If we give it what it needs to do its job, it does an amazing job. And most people will be able to tolerate one glass of wine a week. Most people. Once again, I don't know you as a patient to say that, but I think, I we got to pick our poisons, what we choose to do. I have to say, for years, I would put this chemical straightener in my hair, and as I did it, my lip would get numb and tingling. And I'm like, oh my God, I know better. What am I doing? And I still didn't stop it for years. I would do it, 2, 3 times a year. And there's no way that was good for me, but I fed my body right. I moved, I did all the right things, and I'm okay. I'm good.
To me about the microbiome. We know now it's its own entity inside the body, and it seems to be running the show.
Crazy. Crazy that it's
What
in
is it?
charge
Let's
of our.
start. It's from oral all the way on the way out. What does it do?
Yeah. Well, the
What is
microbiome are the
Yeah.
bugs in our guts,
Okay.
and we are finding. So first of all, we're finding out every single day about, and each individual bug has its own sort of relationship to, putting people more at risk for diabetes or obesity or autoimmune disease. It's crazy. It's just and then what we know about its relationship to our personalities. That's crazy to think
That's
about.
that's amazing. Yeah.
I know,
Yeah.
I know. But everything from, the way that we detoxify, there's a gut hormone connection, there's a gut neurotransmitter connection, brain health. Like think about, I will always say, uh, people who have sort of dysbiosis, this imbalance of good and bad bacteria, one of the major signs I see is brain fog. you
Yeah.
know, fatigue and brain fog. So it's too numerous to mention, and the strides that we are making on testing the microbiome and trying to change it, which is not easy, by the way. it's not easy to change your microbiome. It takes a long time. It takes a lot of work. Um, but uh, but the payoff is incredible. I worry about all these medications we're using on young people, like long-term antibiotics for acne, including Accutane, and nobody is doing the research to look at what kind of damage that's doing down the road on the microbiome, and it has to be doing major damage, you know. So
What are topicals? Everybody's using topical serums, topical sunscreens, topical hair products.
for what? For
Everything,
acne or
everything for acne, for aging, for
yeah. So the question is what kind of effect will they have
yeah,
on us, or
yeah,
what should we
yeah,
use?
yeah. Both.
Yeah, yeah, both.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's not my area of expertise. I have a handful of things. I actually sell like a hyaluronic acid in the office just because it's just pure hyaluronic acid because you can't go wrong. Like
yeah.
topical hyaluronic acid blocks everything, holds in moisture, so that it's so not my area. But there are topicals that are putting chemicals into our bodies that we don't really know what they're doing, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And I'm not once again, I'm the more conservative of my colleagues, right? So a lot of my colleagues would be like, no, only natural products. I just told you I colored my hair with a major chemical
Yeah,
for
yeah.
years, so I'm definitely not that person. Um, and I think, but I do think what I think is I like to do testing, going back to my very first thing. We can test for these chemicals and these forever chemicals in our bodies and see what our toxic burden, what our toxic load is. And then we can do something about it. We can detox, we can really work on those kind of things and work on improving them and helping, aiding our body in getting rid of them. Once again, our bodies are amazing machines. You give it what it needs to do its job, it does an amazing job.
I'm going to send everybody I know to you. And Dana Cohen is based in New York City. But I want to ask you before we give out that information, what is your go-to for accurate information? Do you have one, I don't know, website or holding tank that you like to go to, or you could send people to because the thing here is accurate information. Yeah.
Yeah. So I listen to, all right. So first of all, I go to more conferences than, than so many people I know. I love, and I have like my Jeff Blands of the world. Jeff Bland is the godfather of functional medicine. That whole group of IFM, Institute for Functional Medicine, are amazing practitioners. I listen to Peter Attia.
Yeah.
I listen to Huberman. And then those are my two big podcasts that I'll listen to. If I have a question, I go straight to Google Scholar, which a lot of people don't know about. Google Scholar, and just put in Google Scholar, and then you can search for articles.
Okay.
So you put in, and that's just looking at the sources of the actual articles. It's not giving you information. There's something called Up to Date for clinicians. That's pretty good too. If you're looking at like, what blood pressure medicine is the best to use now or something like, some things are, or an antibiotic, I don't know, that's up to date. And then, yeah, those are the big ones, but Google Scholar's a good one. If anybody's looking for articles that are peer reviewed, and that's, a lot of people don't know about that one. That's a good one.
Yeah. So I want to send people to places where they can find that accurate information. Dr. Dana Cohen, I want to thank you so much for joining us. So much good information. And I do want to come back and talk about Fuel Up. We'll make that date because the
Great.
food, I think people don't even understand processed food anymore. It's so confusing. It doesn't need
Yeah.
to be, but it is. And you can also
Yeah.
learn more about Dr. Cohen at www.drdanacohen.com, just like it sounds, DRDANACOHEN. And we'll post that on the show when we put it out. And
Thank you.
Dr. Cohen, in closing, I want to ask you, what do you like about getting older?
Um, I Okay, so I thought I was going to talk about this earlier. I think I can I curse?
Of course.
Okay. I love that I don't give a shit anymore about what people think. And that really takes, for me, it took age. It really took time and aging. I've never felt prettier in my skin. I think I'm excited about aging. I'm excited about the wisdom that comes with aging. And I truly, truly mean that. Like, and when they say beauty's wasted on the youth, it truly is. Um, but also, you have so many crazy things in your head when you're younger, and just to clear that out and not give a crap anymore is the best part of aging.
That is, I love hearing that. It's my opening line, stop caring what people think. But you know what, when I hear it from
Mm.
who, someone like you, who I feel is not only an authority in your field, you do radiate beauty and love and sunshine. And as corny as that sounds, like, you do that. And how old are you?
I'm 50. I'll be 59 soon.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah,
It's a great
yeah,
age. And we
yeah.
can't let those numbers define us, right? That's a very important.
No, I love it. I love telling people my age.
Yeah.
And I always have. Even when I was 14 and people would think I'm 21, I'd get all, now it's sort of the opposite. People are like, oh, they're so surprised or whatever. But I love telling people my age. I think it's fun, and I think, it's a number. It's just a number.
Number and revel in every single minute and every single day. So thank you
Yeah.
again so much, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you all for listening to It's Okay to Be Old, and please subscribe to my channel for our engaging discussions on all things aging well. For feedback and topic requests, you can reach out to me at www.patriciagreenberg.com. Stay well and stay safe. Thank you again, Dana.